I used to help be a part of one of the biggest OnlyFans agencies in Australia. OnlyFans is the sex industry in a different outfit. So account managers think of like a pimp, just digital. Man, do you have like 26,000 hours? I like survived a murder attempt. That's how I have that scar on my forehead. I actually had a family member give me cocaine for the first time at 13. Yeah, dude, it was wild. I see so much of women falling for this lie. This is quick, easy cash. I can jump on, make a bunch of money. You earn maybe $130. That content is on the internet forever. And now you're sitting there going, okay, what do I do? I can remember so clearly sitting in that parking lot and having voices screaming in my head, you're literally going to burst into flames if you walk into that church. She just looked at me and goes, would you like to have lunch with me? By the Friday, I quit the OnlyFans agency. I walked away from a 13-year friendship. I walked away from the cannabis business. 8 weeks later, I'm sober and I'm baptized. And for the past 2.5 years, I've now been traveling the world, sharing this story and educating people about OnlyFans and the reality of what's going on behind the scenes. You know, Diary of a CEO?
Yeah.
I listened to so much of his stuff, and he has a fantastic book that he talks about called like Blue Ocean, Red Ocean. And it's about having like a blue ocean strategy and a red ocean. And like, I just geek out about all of that when it comes to like business, like in an oversaturated market, how can you do something unique and like parallel that with like podcasting and like, anyways, I geek out about this stuff so much. So I think it's so fun.
We don't geek out about it, but we always try and like learn like how to stand out, how to like
read
become
that book. It's fantastic.
viral or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Definitely will. And then the tour was for the porn stuff?
Yeah, so sharing my testimony and then educating people about the reality of OnlyFans and like what I see when I speak and tour now.
Wow. So
Yeah.
the tour entails you speaking about just all of that. Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you get there? Let's dig deep.
Yeah, dude. Well, how I got there is I used to help be a part of one of the biggest OnlyFans agencies in Australia.
Let's even rewind it way back further, like
Way back.
childhood.
Childhood.
Where have you come from?
Let's get to know you anyway. like,
Okay.
just for
Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
sick. All right, cool. Well, name's Victoria Sinis, born and raised here in Melbourne, Australia, 28 years old, just had my birthday 2 weeks ago. And grew up with immigrant parents. So my dad's from Greece and my mum's from Manchester. So half Greek, half English. And I guess like nothing too insane about my childhood, like in a sense. I'm the youngest. I have 2 older brothers. And then on my mum's side of the family, my mum's one of 7. And I'm the youngest on that side. So I have like a bajillion first cousins. And then on my dad's side, I'm the youngest as well. Well, my other cousin's like a month apart. So much of a muchness. So it kind of meant that I was exposed to a lot of things from a really young age that I shouldn't have been. And so I'm sure as we go chronologically, we'll hear a little bit more about that. But if you want to go back to like little Vic, how I ended up doing what I was doing and where I was is I've always, the easiest way I can explain it, felt like from as young as I've been, had like an existential crisis mode about me. Like I can remember being 4 years old and always feeling like, I just want to get there, but I'm here. And what can I do to get there? And I've always just had this like overwhelming sense of doom in my life, sadness, depression, anxiety. And I don't really know where the root of it was. I just grew up like a really, really sad, really heavy, tormented child.
And you remember having that sort of
Yeah.
frame state from 4 years old?
Yeah, I can remember a very specific memory being in kindergarten and being 4 years old. And like the most bizarre things of my teacher was getting frustrated at me because I couldn't understand how to tie a bow in like the back of the chair. And I can remember this so perfectly. And just like feeling this like crushedness about me of like, I am just stupid. Like I'm just never going to get it. Like I'm never going to be there. That's the only way I can explain it.
Do you know what happened from like 0 to 4? As in, was there anything that, because that doesn't just happen to
I know. It's interesting, isn't it?
Children are so like pure. And
Yeah.
I don't think that stems from somewhere. It doesn't just because we come here so pure and so innocent that was obviously that's come from
Something.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
Haven't figured that out
Yeah.
yet on the healing journey.
Yeah,
Not
there
too
you go.
sure. But, you know, you can draw conclusions. There's obviously having immigrant parents and, you know, the trauma they experienced and the things that they have been through that can pass down, you know, if they have mental health issues, that's in the environment. If you want to go spiritual, generational curses, those type of things. if you want to go even a level deeper of, you know, depending on your calling and who you are, the enemy always tries to go for children. So there's so many different ways that you can kind of, you know, hypothesize on why, but the reality was I was just a sad kid.
Yeah.
That was it. But yeah, growing up, same thing. Through primary school, through high school, just always had that feeling, but there was never anything too crazy until I get to 13. At 13 years old is when I was very first exposed to drugs. I actually had a family member give me cocaine for the first time at 13.
At 13.
Yeah, dude, it was wild.
Whoa.
When you say family member,
Yeah.
like a sibling or a cousin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sibling.
Both. So I got snuck out. Okay, I got snuck out
13.
to St Kilda festival. Like, you know how that used to happen like back in the day and it was like the thing. But because my family is so much older than me and unfortunately not very mature at the time, they snuck me out to one of the bars on Fitzroy Street in St Kilda. And one of my cousins looked at my brother and was like, do you think? And he's like, yeah, why not? And then my cousin took me to the toilet. And that was the first time I had cocaine.
Wow, that's very young.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool. I'll be honest. I had no idea what I was doing. But I came to school the next day thinking I was like the sickest thing ever.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah.
And were there any repercussions of that? Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So what were some of those?
Mental health wise, you know, that meant that just opened up the door for substances for me. So from 13, I really got into drinking, got into different types of drugs from there, started smoking cigarettes as well at 13 years old. And just the way that I think when you're developing from such a young age, mixing that, you know, with, I don't know if it will get bleeped, but like, you know, ecstasy, ketamine, you know, weed, all these other type of things, pingers, whatever, MD, it meant that my emotional state was just this absolute roller coaster from, you know, a super, super young age. Yeah.
So at 13, after you tried cocaine for the first time, was it then a common occurrence thing that you would do? Or was it like it was then and then was it later on when you started doing more drugs? Or when did it sort of happen that you were consistently taking drugs?
So I think that it wasn't definitely not coke, but at school, we were just like, my group was like the party kids. So it was just the thing, but it wasn't like junkie spec. You know what I mean?
No,
you know,
of
when you
course.
have like party people, but it's like you'll do it on a Tuesday, you do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but you'll still go to school, you'll still work, like those type of things. So it was just the culture. It wasn't like a weird thing in a sense. Obviously now with maturity, you can look back and be like, okay, that's probably not normal, but that's just what all me and my friends did. We'll just party and we'll just do drugs. 13 was like more weed and stuff like that. And then it just like incrementally. So from about 15, I had a fake ID and was clubbing.
Yeah.
And then that's when like it was a little bit more of the hardcore drugs.
What high school did you go to?
Can I say that? No, I went to Emmaus Catholic College.
Yeah.
If you know it.
No,
There's a campus in Vermont South and one in like Turak.
No, never heard of it.
Okay. It's in the east.
Yeah.
Southeast. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good culture for you and your school friends.
Dude. But that was just the thing. I don't know.
No, we
I
grew up in a similar, like, it wasn't probably 13, but like at 16 maybe it was.
Yeah.
No, I had a lot of mates from even 11, 12, 13.
Really?
Yeah,
No,
there's
see,
a
I
few
didn't-
people,
I
like a
didn't
few
expect-
boys that would dabble in some stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, ciggies, alcohol at that age. But I mean, they started getting into some of the hardcore drugs at like 13 as well. Yeah, 13, 14.
It was just normal.
So young.
Yeah. It's crazy
So
when you
young,
think
wow.
about it.
If you're serious about energy, recovery, and long-term health, listen to this. C60 supports your cells by helping reduce oxidative stress and by supporting mitochondrial function, which is your body's energy production. One of the few supplements that we personally take daily.
We only talk about products we actually use, and Carbon 60 is one that stayed in our routine. For us, the difference showed up in recovery, clearer thinking, and overall day-to-day resilience. If you've been looking for something that supports your body at a deeper level, C60 is definitely worth exploring.
And you're right, like they kind of in a weird way were somewhat cool at that time, you know. But I don't know, it didn't sit right for me personally. I didn't engage with it at that age. But I mean, yeah, it's a weird thing because you can just very easily be pulled into it at that age, especially if your older siblings are offering it to you. Then it just pulls you in. You think it's the right thing to do. How old were they?
My oldest brother's 9 years older than me, so quite older.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There you
It's
go.
pretty crazy
Yeah.
that he
So-
did that.
So let's talk next phases. So you're partying as most Melburnians at that age did.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard. What was next on the journey?
Yeah, so I would say that now that this is perhaps like 16, 17, so graduating high school, and this is where I had real insecurities about like, again, this here and there thing, right? I'm just here and I just want to do everything that I can to get there. And so what does that look like for me? And for me, my manifestation of like insecurities was never necessarily like to go down the route of feeling validation from like super sexualizing myself or anything. For me, it was actually business and it was finances. And I always thought that maybe if I just had that business, maybe if I just had the thing that was big enough and I made enough money, then my life would matter. Then I would have impact. Then I'd go from being here to being there. And so that's where I started to get into, well, actually, I went to uni for like a hot second and I hated it. I went to La Trobe and did anthropology and sustainability and development, and it was whack.
I just quickly, I want to know, I want to touch a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So, because I feel like it's more of a masculine thing to want to be like, you know, make not. It's not only masculine. Obviously, women want to make money too, but I feel like it's a slightly masculine trait to like chase finances. You know what made you so like deeply fall for wanting to make money?
Yeah, I think if you pull on that thread, it's definitely growing up in a world with boys, so two older brothers, but then very close with my cousins, and they're all men. And I had a very interesting relationship with my dad as well. So being, I guess I just say like the immigrant mentality of
Interesting. Elaborate.
Unfortunately, and I have such deep compassion for my parents. I think all parents just do the best that they can, right?
Of course.
But, you know, coming to an overseas country and experiencing, you know, the racism that they did and then the abuse that even my parents experienced, well, specifically my dad in his home, and coming from like a Greek mentality, which is just backwards and it just doesn't make sense. I think that my dad was a really, really traumatized man. And I think that he really struggled and he didn't know how to express emotion. And he said that. He goes, I thought, even though I wasn't beating you guys, he's like, I didn't think screaming and abusing you was anything wrong with that because I wasn't going to those extremes. So that's kind of the environment that I grew up in. Unfortunately, my parents had like an extremely fractured marriage. They had like some pretty significant things happen to them when I was young, which really disintegrated their marriage up until only about a couple years ago when reconciliation happened for them. So I grew up in a very like hostile environment at home, but also because I'm the youngest and I'm so much younger, I was just left to my own devices. So I could do whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, to be honest with you. And because my oldest brother, like he was probably like the craziest kid out of all of us. And then my middle brother was like an angel. I say all the time, I was like, I don't know where he came from. Like he's not a part of our family because we're all a little bit like, you know, how you going? And then he's just so beautiful, so pure, so just non-problematic. And so then I think by the time it came to me and then all of the relational issues that my parents were having and all of the, you know, troubles they had with my oldest brother, I just don't think they had the capacity to parent, to be honest with you. And I've had these conversations with my parents, you know, so I think growing up for me, it's like an amalgamation, right, of there's just deep-rooted insecurity within me that is stemmed from something, you know. Then having emotionally unavailable parents, coming in a very extremely hostile family situation that I'm in. As a daughter, like the biggest thing that you want is like your dad to just love you and accept you and validate you, right? And so if you're not getting that, but my dad, you know, is an extremely hard worker and has been able to provide incredibly for my family. I guess that was perhaps maybe the measurement that I drew for success, that maybe if I had that, then I would be there. You know, that's what my dad did. Maybe then he'll love me. Maybe then he'll validate me. You know, all those different things. And I think that that's probably like the deeper, I should say root cause of where this insecurity came from.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. A girl, like you're a kid just searching for love, really.
Yeah.
And then you replace the love with the finances because it's like that's what your dad was good at doing too.
Yeah.
So probably thought that like, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. And like, honestly, business is fun. Like sales is fun. So like, I loved it. And I wasn't like a crazy academic kid in school. So for me, I kind of came out of school and was like, okay, like sales, I'm actually really good at this. and I can talk to people. And, you know, I loved learning about like matching and mirroring people and getting to the root cause of like, what do they want and how do you like just tailor each unique experience to a human. And I got into like the full like commission sales of like running people down like in the street and like, hey, like, do you want skincare? Like I loved it. So I think as well, it was like purpose. So it's like such a mixture of like insecurities, but I'm finally good at something. This is my vibe. Okay, maybe this is going to be the thing that takes me from being here to takes me to being there.
Yeah, I can it resonates a lot with me. I was like very similar. My parents, not my mum, but more my dad, similar sort of situation. And I feel like you've even made me realize like from myself.
When she's talking, I'm like, this is Jono's story.
Like
Very
literally
similar,
from like 12, 13 years old, just like was locked into just making money. I didn't care about anything else. And it's a very similar story. Like it's like the detachment from like
father,
the father, and then channeling it into, you know, business, making money, and that was the fulfillment. That was what I was good at.
Yeah.
So it's a.
Are we both going to cry by the end of this? I like need a minute.
No, it's pretty cool actually. I love it. It's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's insane. So yeah, what was the next phase of the journey? Like, did you start making money at a younger age?
So what ended up happening, I had a pretty traumatic event happen when I was 16. And that kind of like amalgamated as well onto everything. And then when I turned 18.
Did you want to share or not really?
Yeah, I can. I got raped at 16.
Oh shit.
Yeah. That as well was like just a horrific experience to have to go through. And then you can imagine being so emotionally immature, not knowing how to handle emotions, mix that with drugs, alcohol, insecurities, and having nowhere to go about these things. By the time, I guess now we're jumping into the 18, you can kind of get a little bit of a picture of, you know, who I am as a human. And then I ended up meeting a boy. And with so many stories with girls, what happens? That boy ruins your life. So unfortunately, I get into a relationship with an older man, not too much older, like 5 or 6 years, but still, you know, being 18 with someone in like their mid-20s is actually a pretty big gap. And I disappear for 2 years. I'm not allowed to see my family. I'm not really allowed to leave. If I do leave, I have to prove where I am.
Oh my God.
I have to take photos and then screenshot the photos to prove that that was the time and date that I took the photo, and I didn't pre-take it, and I'm lying about where I am. And
How insecure can someone be?
Yeah. Like it's deep. Like it doesn't negate, or I should say, it doesn't excuse bad behavior. But unfortunately, the thing is, traumatized people. You know, and when you don't have emotional maturity to understand red flags, when you don't have emotional maturity to understand what a safe and an unsafe person looks like, people will, especially when it comes to these situations, if you have two insecure people together, they're going to immediately meet those insecurity needs. But because they're unhealthy, they're going to bring out the worst in each other, right? Because insecurity is just take. It's just take. All it does is just take from you, right? Because you're not filled. And so if you have two people that are just trying to take from each other to fill each other up, it's going to be really destructive.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of in that situation for like 2 years, I guess full time, you could say. And then
were you working through this? As in like
it was like impossible to keep a job because no matter what job I had, unfortunately, I would lose it because of just, you know, accusations by the guy that I was with. It made it really hard. He would want me to drop what I'm doing immediately, like no matter like what time of day, and come be with him and like stuff like that. So it meant that I wasn't really able to keep a job. So it was really, really hard. So I went through that for about 2 years full time, and then we broke up, and then we were on and off for 4 years. So 6 years in total.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that was, I think it's kind of like my life just weirdly got put on pause. And I would have little spurts when like we weren't together, and maybe I'd go get the job or I'll do the thing. And like that's in between scattered, and all of this is how I have so much experience in like so many different elements of business and sales, because I'd get a job here and then something would happen with the guy and I'd lose my job, start my life over again, get back with him, go like MIA again. And it was just like that cycle of abuse, you know, for about 6 years on and off. But I got like crazy, really like cool business experience in this, like different sales jobs, different things. But yeah, that was kind of like the major existence that I had for like the first, half of my 20s.
Mm.
Yeah.
So-
Up until about 24.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
That's it's a very interesting experience. Did you you obviously loved him at the time, and like, could you see through the way he was acting towards you, or just that you were fully sucked into it?
Yeah, I think for anyone who has been in like a very toxic, deceptive relationship, they'll tell you that, like, I've had friends say this, and again, it's not negating, like, physical abuse is horrific, but mental abuse, man, I say I would prefer to be beaten and like understand and not have my mind manipulated. Because when it comes to, I remember a therapist told this to me, and it really, really helped me, that when it comes to like the cycle of abuse, it'll be like everything's really, really good and perfect for like maybe 6 months, just say. And so that's where you see like the best version of this person. That's where you fall in love with them and their essence and the little things, right? And then there might be one event that happens and you're like, oh, that was weird, but okay. And then maybe like 3 months later, another event happens. You're like, oh, I'll just play that off. Like you think about the 6 months, you think about the good. But then that 3 months turns to 2 months, turns to 1 month, turns to bi-weekly, turns to weekly, turns to daily, to the point where you go, I can't do this anymore. Things blow up. And then maybe you break up. Maybe it's really severe. I'm sorry, I won't do that again, X, Y, Z. Okay, I take you back. And then again, maybe now that grace period has gone from 6 months and then it's 3 months to really good. And then repeats the cycle. So I think that deception there is what's really hard for a lot of women, right? Because women, our essence, I believe, is like we want to call out the greatness in men. We want to see the best in them and we want to champion that. So when you put that in an unhealthy framework, you're seeing the best in someone and that deception is what takes over. And that's what then kind of like gives reasons. Like I'm sure we've all experienced friends and we're like, what are you doing? And they're like, no, like you don't understand. Like you don't see what I see. Like he's so amazing. He's so, like you're cooked. And you're like, but you don't get it.
Yeah.
That's that deception. And I think that's the hard thing to untrain your brain from.
Looking back, do you think that he was being like consciously doing it, or was just happening? As in, was he like planning it out in a way, or was it kind of just like naturally the closer you got, the more attached he got to you, kind of thing?
It's a fantastic question. I've never thought about that. I think I would like to have a lens for my own heart that I don't believe that people will willingly be malicious and cruel. I would like to believe that, but I would like to believe that through, a series of unfortunate events and whatever happened in his life that I'm not aware of, that's his reaction, And then again, if you pair that with someone who's not healthy as well, you're going to bring out the worst essence in each other. So I would like to believe that it wasn't intentional. And it's just a series of unfortunate events of, two people meeting and, bringing out the ugliest essence in each other.
And what was the breaking point, and how did you completely break off?
It was kind of a little bit of like maturity over, a period of time of like, we'd see each other and things were just trash at that point, but when it's like a security blanket almost of like maybe you were dating someone for a little bit and then it didn't work out. So, you could always go back to him and he would make you feel better and he would do the same, vice versa. Really unhealthy. But then it just got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. But I'm still so insecure, right? So like if my security blanket goes, like, what am I going to do? But those periods in between got longer and longer. And like the interactions we would have got shorter and shorter. And the reality of like, we're never going to be together was more of a reality. And the frustration would come in of like, why? You can't speak to me that way. You can't do that. Like, that's not okay. So I think that that's what ended up happening. And then it just like very organically just like fizzled out, where it wasn't like a big blow up and then that was it type of thing. Yeah.
I think after 6 years, it kind of.
Bro, you would hope so after 6 years, man.
All right, let's next chapter now. Let's go.
So in between all of that, I ended up, so just say that 24 years old at that time, and I believe it was now, well, when him and I ended, I think it would have been like 2022, but go back to 2020, right, when we're in COVID, one of my best friends had started building hospitality businesses. Well, at that time it was just one. She opened up a restaurant in Richmond. And it actually blew up during COVID and was pretty successful. So I ended up getting a job with her, helping her in the cafe. And from there, I just ended up working my way up there to like actually running it. Then we come out of COVID and the business blew up and they ended up getting like another location in Thornbury. So I was like fully in that world. Like we were doing like 100-hour work weeks. Like it was hectic. I don't know if any of you guys have done hospitality, but like it's brutal.
What was the restaurant?
It was called Sable.
Sable.
Yeah. There used to be one in Richmond and in Thornbury, but I think they went into administration like a couple years ago.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I was in like the genesis of that business. But working all of those work hours after a period of time, I was just exhausted. Like I couldn't do it anymore. And so in 2022, one of my best friends and I went on a holiday for a month to Europe. And when I was in Europe, one of my other friends actually decided that she wanted to start this thing called an OnlyFans agency. And so when I got back from Europe, my friend approached me and was like, hey, we've decided to start this thing. We're going to do an OnlyFans agency. And the reason why they wanted to build this business was they already had friends that were in OnlyFans that are probably like some of the biggest girls that we have in Australia at the time. And they were complaining about their agencies. And so my friend, she has an exceptional educational background. She's actually an ex-criminal defense lawyer. And so she was like, well, I can do all like the business contracting stuff, like end of this. We already have girls that are in OnlyFans that understand the industry and what's needed. Why don't we ask Vic? She's got business background and like marketing background and get her involved in the business too. Like OnlyFans, empowering girls, like all the different things. We're going to make a bunch of money. Like this is a sick idea. And so when I got back from Europe and my friend was telling me about this, I was like, yes, like this is hectic. I would love to be a part of this because I don't want to keep doing 100-hour work weeks in hospitality. Like I'm exhausted. So that's when, like the end of 2022, I quit working in the restaurants and started to help my friend in building this OnlyFans agency.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I'm like, do you want me to keep going? And then, like, because this is where like, these are the, like, you know, this is the thing that changed everything. But yeah, so quit working in hospitality and start in this. And so in startups, right, like you have no money. So I'm helping.
So you were a founder of
No, didn't find, like, wasn't a founder, anything like that.
Okay. You're just in the business early on.
Yeah.
And they're paying you? You're saying
not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning.
So that's what I was going to say. In the beginning, you have no money, right?
Yeah.
So until we got to that point where I was paid, it was just like unofficial working with it. The girl was like my best friend. So we're hanging out every day doing this business, getting to the point where we want to be able to bring, you know, me.
And you obviously saw a vision because you've left the job that you were making money to come to a job where you weren't making money. So you saw some sort of vision in
remember,
what you were doing.
My biggest insecurity was business and finances.
Yeah.
What do we all believe about OnlyFans?
Make money?
Yeah. So of course, for me, I'm like, wait a minute. This business could be like the thing that's going to help me fulfill my dreams. Maybe this business is going to be the thing that's going to take me from being here to finally being there, you know? And I believed all the lies that culture tells us. Well, you know, I'd heard of OnlyFans, but I actually didn't know what it was. And I was like, I think you can just like sell your feet on there and like make a bunch of money. Like, you know, that's what we all believe about it, right? And I looked at the girls that were in it and I was like, well, they seem rich and they seem happy. So therefore, I believe that this is a good thing. And so that was just my superficial lens getting into it. But like the deeper thing is I was like, this could be the thing that is going to, you know, fulfill all of my dreams and help with those insecurities. So that was why I was like, okay. And also like doing business with your friends is like the funnest thing ever. So I was like, this seems like a fantastic job. And again, I don't want to keep doing 100-hour work weeks because like I'm over it. So I start helping to build out like the marketing division of the agency. So are you guys like familiar with what actually OnlyFans agencies are and like what they do?
Nah, that was going to be
okay, cool. So I'll explain. Yeah, because I think as well, that's the thing. So many of us hear about OnlyFans, but we don't actually understand the behind the systems ecosystem of them, which are agencies.
Can you not just have an OnlyFans without an agency?
Not really.
Really? I can't just start an OnlyFans.
You can, but
and not have an agency?
Like put on your business brain and think about this. So the main point and the whole allure of OnlyFans is instant messaging. So if you follow anyone on OnlyFans, and if you do, unfollow them. But the whole allure is DM me on OnlyFans. Come chat with me. Link in bio. Come talk to me. And so the main communication that is had on the OnlyFans platform is instant messaging. And so you can get that girl that you follow on Instagram to do whatever you want and fulfill whatever fantasy you have on OnlyFans. That's sick. So imagine that these girls have hundreds of thousands of followers on their Instagram and they're funneling all of their followers to their OnlyFans because OnlyFans doesn't have an internal promotional system. It's not like TikTok, you can't go viral on it, right? So you have to pull in people from other platforms. So if this girl has hundreds of thousands of followers on her Instagram and she's pulling in thousands of people to her OnlyFans and the main allure is instant messaging, do you think she can sit there and facilitate thousands of conversations 24/7, 7 days a week?
So is there people messaging or that's like
Yeah.
AI
It's
system?
guys on the other side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it literally
Messaging the
is.
guys. That's crazy.
It's dudes.
That's disgusting.
So wait.
It's like people you hire. Anyway, yeah, we'll get into it. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, because I'm still just trying to wrap my head
Of
around.
course.
So you can't, business mind, you can't just like plug in an AI thing to do it now?
Yes and no. So think about this. The main allure. So just say so the girl, like the whole point of an OnlyFans agency is to maximize the earning potential in a girl's account. So you're managing all the chats, you're doing all the marketing, you're doing everything, and then you're recruiting girls to come to OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So just specifically for the chatting perspective, it's not necessarily about how much money can you make off selling porn, but it's about how can you build connections with subscribers to keep them coming back. So it depends on the account as well. If you have a high volume of subscribers coming in, that means it's easy and quick turnover. So you're probably not building relationships with the subscribers. But the whole point is you want to nurture relationships and make men believe that they're in a legitimate relationship with this girl.
Yeah.
And so, of course, you're going to train your chatters in how to do that. Doing that with an AI model, you know, the amount of programming that you would have to put into that AI to be able to like replicate intimacy with someone, I just wonder how that would work.
No, yeah, it makes sense. I
Probably
get-
can happen now, but as in for the last like 5 years of
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
I think I
probably
get it
wasn't
to
there.
I get it. I thought like as in one thing for instant DMs, another for like human intimacy, trying to like nurture that person's relationship the way that you think that person needs nurturing compared to that person. Like it'd be a customized thing, I guess, to like
Yeah. And think about this as well. So like you can't sit there and just sex someone 24/7. Like you can't be having like a sexual conversation and interaction with someone all the time. So you have to build a relationship with them. So that's the whole point of what you train the chatters in. You train them in this thing called like the girlfriend experience. And so how can you, again, make your subscriber believe that they're in some sort of intimate relationship with this girl for the end result of making money off of them?
Is that what you hate the most about it? That it's not, you're not, as in I see the whole thing as in the moral compass of OnlyFans, but is that one of the biggest things for you? Whereas like you're not even speaking to that person, or it's just the whole thing as a total?
I think the biggest thing that now doing what I do on a global level, seeing the destruction that OnlyFans brings to not only our generation, but the next generation, seeing the destruction that it brings to relationships and seeing the mass way that it disillusions people, I think that's what scares me the most, is that we're grooming a current and next generation to idolize becoming sex workers and to believe that their only capacity and their only dreams should be to sell themselves online and that this is the pinnacle of success. And it's so ingrained in our culture and it's so normalized. But I see the consequence of that, of, you know, millions of women jumping on and what actually happens to them and the reality that you're not going to make millions. The average wage is $130 a month. So you're not jumping on, you're not just selling feet pics, you're doing full-on pornography, you're making little to no money. It's the exact same consequences as the mainstream sex industry. If you're a prostitute, a stripper, an escort, whatever it is, so the same mental health ramifications are on those women as they are on OnlyFans. And I see that firsthand with my friends. And so I think that there is such a level of illusion around what this is, which is why it's such a major phenomenon in our culture. And if you go talk to any teenagers, like I speak with a lot of youth, I have girls in my arms so often crying, 12, 13 years old, because they watch OnlyFans, you know, TikTokers, influencers, Bop House girls, if you guys know what that is. And they're like, I watch these girls online and I think that that's what I have to do to get a boy to like me. And so I've gone and done things sexually at 12, 13 years old with a boy. And how do I not hate myself for it? Like, I have little boys in my arms crying. I had a 13-year-old tell me that he's addicted to porn and he believes he's too far gone and God can't redeem him because of his porn addiction.
Oh God.
I had a guy in Miami, he was like 21 years old, weeping, asking me to hold him as he's crying because he does OnlyFans and he's just so messed up and he doesn't know what to do with his life.
Wow.
Like, so I see the destruction that this brings. And I think that that's why it needs to be the mainstream narrative of, hey, there's statistically only 300 people a year that make more than $1 million on OnlyFans. There's 4.5 million creators on OnlyFans. So you're going to make a teeny tiny amount of money, realistically, doing full-on pornography, and you have the same ramifications as the mainstream sex industry. And then if you jump on, your job opportunities are dashed, right? But then for the guys, hey, there's an entire ecosystem, a multi-billion-dollar porn industry that is so targeted and specific. And we haven't even gotten into the marketing and what we do to target men, but it's targeting you. It's doing stuff that is so intentional to lure you into a porn platform, to get you hooked, to make money off of you. And like, we see the destruction like with men of like the way I have like some of my mates tell me like, man, I can't even look at a chick yawn without my mind going somewhere like feral. Or like it destroys my like, yeah, it's the truth because their mind is just filled with filth, right? And so like then what that does for relationships, how they view women. Men can't commit nowadays because they just think there's infinite options to be had because they have that on pornography. The rate of sexual abuse, you know, even I could go on about so much of this stuff. Like the most predators we have is actually kids against kids and it's siblings against siblings. So because pornography is being exposed to children now at like 8 years old, a lot of kids, the average age of pornography exposure, is 8 years old in America, UK, and Australia.
8 years old?
Yep.
Wow.
And so what's happening now, and I see this is actually more and more women are coming to me telling me that when they were little, their brothers molested them because they watched porn. And there's more rates of this coming about in children consuming porn and then acting it out with their siblings.
Never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's really common.
Why? Just because they've got like the curiosity.
Yep. They see this, they don't really know what it is. It makes them feel some type of way. They think that it's good, but it's kind of shameful at the same time, right?
That's crazy.
And so then, well, I want to see what this is like if I try this with my sister. I've had men confess that to me that they've molested their sisters. Like,
I've never heard of that concept before.
Yep. It's
That's insane.
really common. And this is a
Wow,
consequence
really
of, you know, this porn-filled culture that we have.
Yeah, I definitely think
yeah.
porn is a major issue. Like, I think 90% of men are probably addicted to porn. Like, it's so common. Like, I was once upon a time. Like, it's so common. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the norm. And everyone kind of just like does it and think it's normal. Like, oh, everyone else is doing it, but it's actually so bad for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
bad for you and your relationships and your relationship with God. I just feel like, yeah. Let's get into like the story of like, obviously we kind of fall too far, but
Yeah.
so
You got my passionate side just then.
You started the OnlyFans. You're working for them now. Dive into like the journey and then what happened. How'd you pull out of it?
So I, in the beginning, was helping to build like the marketing part of this, right? So again, we need to make girls go viral so then we can pull in subscribers. So what we had done is we had actually hired this guy who was an expert in studying algorithms. And so every single day, he would send us these very specific curated videos that we would get the girls to recreate. And we were getting the girls to have anywhere from like 3 to 5 TikTok accounts. And every single day across those TikTok accounts, they had to be posting 5 unique videos per account. So that's up to 20 unique individual videos every single day of this highly targeted provocative content. And so my role was to like implement this system, get the girls excited about it. And I think that even just in that, just like as a side note, one of the biggest stigmas around OnlyFans is that it's easy work, right? Well, imagine you come to a job and I still have the screenshots. I still have the same phone, actually. So I still have the screenshots from like everything. And when we would onboard a girl, we would tell her that she has to post these videos every single day, 7 days a week. She is not allowed to take a day off. Otherwise, it will ruin her progress and she has to start from the start. Imagine you got hired for a job and one of the requirements is you can literally never take a day off. Like, that's madness. And that's just for the content that's on TikTok. Like, That's crazy.
Would you guys pay them, or would it be you're hiring them to create all this content, post five posts per page, and then they're doing it for free until they start making money off OnlyFans, or are you paying them an initial payment?
So what you actually do, so just say like phase 1 of an OnlyFans agency is account management. So account management is what you do is you onboard a girl who either already has an OnlyFans account or you're starting her OnlyFans account for her. So then what you do is you get the girl to do like a questionnaire and you get all the information that you can about the girl, because you take that questionnaire and you turn it into a brief. That brief then gets sent to the chatters, and the chatters then can, when they're talking with all the different subscribers, reference all the different briefs of the girls they're pretending to be. So they have information about the girl. Then from there, once you've done account management, you do an audit on the account. This is all the back end of OnlyFans, right? Okay, this is the strategy. This is what we're doing. Who's on the account? How much money are they making? All the things. Then you come to marketing. So then the marketing is, okay, how do we promote your OnlyFans? So you're not hiring the girl for Instagram, TikTok, whatever. You're already managing their OnlyFans account. You've already onboarded the girl. And then this is the strategy that we're using to monetize your OnlyFans.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So what we do is like, specific, very intentional, strategic, provocative content. And so this is where this is like, I think for men, like the really important thing to understand. So I don't know about you guys, but like lots of conversations that I have with men is, I don't know, I just feel like I was scrolling and then before you know it, like I'm on a porn platform. And they're like, I don't know, I was just watching this one thing and then it led to this and then it led to this and then I'm here. And I'm like, yeah, that's intentional. And so the way that that's done is, one of the examples I like to use is, this was kind of trending at the time. So we would get the girls to do the like little tease videos, all these different things, like, again, to be able to evoke like these emotions within men. So one of the main ones that I use as like my example is, imagine you have like a big, massive mirror, right? And then you've got, you know, like the little makeup compacts that women have. Imagine like on that vanity, you have like 50 little makeup compacts with all of the mirrors facing up, facing the camera. And imagine that's just like scanning. And the phone is just like scanning back and forth. And there's like this super sexualized song that's like playing in the background. And you have a look at the caption and it says, "Did you see it?" And so you sit there and you go, did I see it? Did I see what? And so you keep watching the video, watching the video, watching the video. You've got this song, it's invoking an emotion in you. It's making something rise up. And then in one of those teeny tiny little mirrors, you see a half naked woman and then you're hooked. And then you're like, oh. And then you go onto the page and then there's thousands of videos like this and they're just suggestive and they've got this thing. And then you click on the Instagram from the TikTok. It's even more full on. Now you're really charged up, right? And then before you know it, you're clicking on that story and it says link in bio. Then you're at that OnlyFans page and you have a trained chatter that's just like waiting for you. And so this is how intentional and strategic the porn industry is in hooking men through social media. And that's why it's really important for men to understand this. Because I have so many men tell me, I feel like I'm targeted. I feel like when I go on, they just know no matter what I do, like, I'm like, yeah, bro, it is. Like,
not only that, once you engage with it, then it's in your algorithm. Then you just it's everywhere.
And like the thing is, the magnitude of this as well, like we were getting girls on like fresh, brand new TikTok accounts. So on like one video in 7 days to like 2 million views. So imagine if one video has millions of views on one account, like on one agency in Australia. Imagine how many millions of videos are out there getting these mega views because they're manipulating algorithms to be able to target men. That's why this is such like a bigger thing. You know how you're saying like, what's the things that I kind of like hate the most about this? Like I hate all of it because this is really corrupting. I
don't see it as deep as you do because I'm not in it. Like I don't see it. I'm not like involved in it. I don't really see anything on OnlyFans. Like I'm kind of oblivious to it, you know? So it's not, I'm trying to pick the perspectives and I don't know what it was until you've told me. Now I'm educated on it, but I wouldn't have known otherwise. Like I don't see the dark side of it. I just see it as like, oh, it's OnlyFans. I see the dark side of porn and the, you know, everything that it does to our society, but like I don't really like get that deep into it, you know, kind of just in my own world.
Something I want to understand about the OnlyFans, because I thought it was like some sort of subscription-based thing and then you see, I don't know, photos or videos. But what's the point of the chatters? How do they make money off the chatters?
So OnlyFans is a subscription-based platform. And what you can do is you can upload photos and videos and have instant messaging with people. Now, the reason why you have the instant messaging is because in the instant messaging, you have these things called pay-per-views. So every day you're posting locked content behind a paywall. You're sending it to the subscribers for them to purchase of sexualized content. But also you have these things called custom requests. And so custom requests is as you're having a conversation, you're able to request anything that you want from the girl and ask her to perform it, and you just have to pay for it. Then you've got tips, and then you've also got the subscription on top of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then someone will request something off the chick to get her to do something, like just something random or something that will probably fulfill them in a way.
Yeah.
And then the chatter will obviously liaise with the girl to get the video.
They'll liaise with the account manager, and the account manager will then go to the girl and then ask the girl yes or no. So account managers, think of like a pimp, just digital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
insane.
OnlyFans is like the new aged, like it's the digital version of prostitution and pornography. Wow.
Yep. I'd love to say that like OnlyFans is the sex industry in a different outfit. Same thing. It's just put on a different outfit. It's just digitized now.
Just the modern version. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why some girls are able to scale to such a big income base. Like, but it's rare to get that. Yeah. What do you know the percentage of like how many of the what's the percentage of girls that are actually the top performers?
1%.
Well, the statistic that I said before, there's 4.5 million content creators on OnlyFans, and only 300 make more than $1 million a year.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
So like this one.
Only how many?
300.
300 out of 4. So one, not even like.
And so think about as well, you have like Cardi B on there, you've got Sophie Rain, you've got Bad Barbie, like, so you have mega famous people, right, that are promoting this. So of course the everyday person is going to think, well, I can do that. But you don't have, hundreds of millions of followers that you're funneling into this. So that's why there's even this more unique phenomenon of, and this is something that, again, I see so much, of women falling for this lie. This is quick, easy cash. I can jump on, make a bunch of money. We now know that it's full on pornography. It's not just taking like some cute feet pics. They fail. You earn maybe $130. So now you have to close your OnlyFans account, which isn't easy. That content is on the internet forever. And now you're sitting there going, okay, what do I do? Like, yeah.
If you're drawn to these conversations, chances are you care about how you think and how you feel. Our C60 was created for that intersection, supporting your body while you do the work. It's linked below.
So you were a manager. You were the AI pimp, the online pimp.
Well, what I was doing
that what
first was the marketing. Okay. So I guess jump back into the story now.
That's it.
I'm doing all the marketing. So that's how I firsthand obviously see like the impact that it has digitally, right? So what ended up happening though is over this period of time, we end up obviously earning enough money, bring me on in a paid capacity. So I'm working there officially. But we had also realized that if the main role is we're impersonating being these girls, right? Imagine if I'm doing all of the social media stuff and then the OnlyFans account manager is doing all the OnlyFans account managing, and us are not communicating behind the scenes. You're a subscriber, you're talking to the girl on Instagram, then you're finishing that conversation on OnlyFans, but the chatter doesn't know what's happening because we're not communicating. So subs are picking up on holes in the story, basically. So what we had realized is, okay, subscribers are starting to get sus. We need to change the business structure. So that's when I went from doing all of the marketing to also then doing account management as well. And so that's when I actually jumped into the back end of OnlyFans. And that's when I actually saw for the first time exactly what we were doing.
And you didn't know before that?
Dude, no. I know this sounds so bizarre, but it did not clock in my brain.
So you consciously the whole time, how long were you doing this for?
About 7 or 8 months of doing all the
marketing. And that whole time you didn't really have like an inkling of like guilt or anything? You're just like, it's just business. Business is business. Like you weren't really like, didn't feel any guilt?
Like, no, because I wasn't seeing the porn. I was seeing all the stuff that we're desensitized to.
The business side of things.
Yeah, I'm seeing all of the, TikToks, the Instagrams, the stuff like that, but I'm not actually seeing exactly what this is promoting.
And when did it click?
So I start doing account management, and that's when I am like devastated because I've actually never been a consumer of pornography. So I'm 25 at this point, and I'm actually seeing porn for the first time. And so I'm
That's
devastated.
powerful.
When you say porn, like what level of porn are you seeing?
Porn. I don't know what else you want. Like,
as in
do you want
they're
like people
sex on the
having
camera?
sex?
Ah,
Yeah. This
Wow.
is what OnlyFans is porn.
Mm.
It is people having sex. It is people doing things multiple, like everything that porn is OnlyFans.
And you had never
Yeah.
never witnessed
Okay,
porn.
do you want to
You
know?
had cocaine at 13. but
Cocaine
you
at
never watched
13.
porn before.
But you know why?
Wow.
As weird as this is, I don't know if this is like a bizarre divine protection, but I remember being in year 9 and a kid played 2 girls, 1 cup in science class. And I was so, do you guys know what that is?
Yeah,
I
I
remember
remember
it,
in
yeah.
high
Okay,
school.
I was so traumatized by that I'm like, I don't like, and for me, I never understood porn. I never understood why people watched it. I was like, if you want to do that deed, why don't you just go have sex? Like, why do you need to watch porn? So I was never enticed or curious to consume pornography.
That's amazing.
Bizarre, because I ended up
True.
selling it.
Yeah. But I think that's the most powerful thing, because if you had just been a consumer of it like 95% of other people, it wouldn't have been that powerful at that moment. You would be like, porn.
Yeah.
Whereas you had a bigger connection towards like not feeling like, you're like, oh, that's so weird. As in like you're watching it for the first time. How many people are watching porn for the first time at 25 years old? That's selling porn. 0, like 1 view.
Yeah.
So I think that's a powerful thing, a powerful position for you to be in, like someone that's able to see it and be like disgusted by it, because most people aren't. And that's why you're on this journey, because you did have that moment where you're like, what the fuck? You know, whereas most people in your position would be like, it's porn. I think that's where the power lies.
Totally. And I think as well, there's the shock element of seeing porn, but also we have to remember that for the past like 7-8 months, I've been building relationships with these girls. So I saw them in like, their humanity. And then now I'm seeing the acts that they're doing. And I'm devastated. That's what got me.
Yeah.
It was like porn, yes, this is cooked. But also I'm like, these are the dreams we're telling girls to dream. I'm like, that girl is hilarious. That girl has the most excellent family values. That girl's so generous. And we just got her out of a modeling contract to do this. We just told this girl to leave this job to come here and do this. We just manipulated this girl to come, like.
How are they so open? Like, how can, I don't know anyone, like, I don't know any girl that I know ever that would be like, yeah, let's, like, I'll do porn. Like, I don't think it's that, like.
Well, okay, let's put it this way. If you've got the account management side of an OnlyFans agency, you've got the marketing side of an OnlyFans agency, and then you've got the recruitment side of an agency. So the recruitment element is, of course, you're not sitting there, right? And be like, hey, do you guys want to come do porn? OnlyFans will take like 20%. We'll take anywhere from, 20 to 50%. You might not make a lot of money doing this, but if you come with us, we'll do our best.
So what's
Bro,
skill,
that's like a terrible sales
what
pitch.
skill are they giving them?
It's the allure of the lifestyle. Think about it. What's your association with OnlyFans? Rich, elite, bougie. Like, this is what people think when they
You're
think of
capitalizing
OnlyFans.
on the narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in real life, we're actually throwing like legitimate parties. We were throwing like parties in Queensland. We had mansions.
If you're got a girl and you think like you're gonna go on porn.com, pay $1 million a year, like I don't think many girls would be like, yeah, fuck yeah, like even if there's money involved. Like I don't know many girls that want to make porn, like and have it online. Like,
So
but
this
obviously
comes
it's
into
a thing, but like I don't think like as in a girl that's got a modeling contract then I can't make porn. Like, is it that common that people are just like, yeah, let's make porn? Is that how fuck society's gotten that? So many girls are just keen to like start doing porn.
So I have 2 answers.
Yeah.
The first one is when you manipulate language, that's where you deceive people. So what's the language around OnlyFans? We're using correct, true terminology right now, right? Of pimps, predators, porn, like all these different things, grooming. But what's the language that mainstream culture uses? OnlyFans model, OnlyFans content creator. So I'm jumping on OnlyFans, and majority of girls will tell you that when they're in OnlyFans, they're not going around saying, I do OnlyFans. I'm a full-time content creator. Like, this is the allure, right? But this is the deception. So if you don't really understand what you're doing because language has been manipulated, you're not making a well-informed decision. You're making a decision under deception. So that's why this is such a phenomenon. Because if you speak to honestly, every single one of my friends that has done OnlyFans and left OnlyFans, and you ask, why did you get into it? It was the allure of the money. I thought that I could, make a bunch of money, do it in secret. You talk to teenage girls that like idolize this lifestyle. Why do you want to do OnlyFans? Why do you like OnlyFans influencers? Well, they seem happy and they travel. So
surely at some point there's the disconnect between I'm a content creator and like now I need to show my pussy online. Like surely there's some sort of disconnect between the two at some point.
So this is where this comes into this thing of like the process of escalation, right? So let me take it back. Maybe this will help. So think about this in a sense of OnlyFans is porn. This is the sex industry, and this is predatory in nature. And what this is doing is corrupting the essence of women, right? So if you meet a lot of women that are in the sex industry, they will tell you that, well, I started out stripping and I never thought that I would go, do escorting. I never thought I'd go do this. I never thought it's a process of escalation.
Yeah,
I have friends that are very public as well that will tell you, man, I did OnlyFans. And because once you break barrier number 1, what's going to stop you from then going to 10? And when there's the allure of money, greed will that will corrode a human soul. So, oh man, I don't really want to do that, but they're going to offer me 10K. Oh, you know what? All right, I'll do it this once. And then you do it again and again because you've destroyed your personal boundaries.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you lose your soul. You're kind of dancing with the devil.
Yeah, totally.
It's a satanistic game, the whole OnlyFans concept, the whole thing.
The whole thing, literally.
It's literally that. Even what you're saying, like it's all just deception.
Deception,
yeah.
I don't know,
Is that business still running?
No, it shut down.
It shut down, the agency?
Yeah. Which is so cool. I know.
Why? Because they was that a money thing?
I don't know.
Oh, you're not even sure.
So, I guess that question will get answered as I finish the
cool.
story. Then.
I've got another question for you. Is there much women who consume porn as much as men? Because you guys were talking about it before, but like, what's the statistic on women?
I feel like it's definitely way more men, but I don't know the statistics.
Okay, so this is now becoming like a little bit more of an argument that women watch just as much porn as men, but no, it is still completely skewed.
Surely not.
Like men are the main driver of demand in all type of sex. So it's still, women consume more smut, which is like sexual books, but that's like a conversation in itself. But actual pornography, like it's not.
There's
nowhere
no
near
comparison.
Yeah.
Fuck, it can't be.
No, not at all.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so we're working in the industry. You now you found out that this is not what I thought. I guess.
Yep.
What happens next?
So, as I said, devastated, crying every day, can't do my job, don't want to open my laptop. I have like little nieces, and I'm just like, if one of them grew up and did this, like, man, I'll be devastated. Like, so why is it okay that these girls are doing this? And that just kind of like sent me on a journey. And at this point, we now know my history with drugs and alcohol. So now drugs and alcohol are like the most extreme that they've ever been. And I am just...
Oh, you started taking drugs and alcohol at this point?
You were the whole time.
I was the whole time. I never stopped, dude.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It never ended.
Yeah.
Just now it's like super extreme. Like I'm staying awake for like 3-4 days at a time and just not caring.
Wow.
Like, and that guilt of doing that, like it's all gone. Like my conscience is just gone. Like
I'm surprised at that point you cared about the porn, because I feel like when you're on drugs, it's like you kind of lose a bit of consciousness, as in you're not really conscious about things, but you obviously still were, which is good.
Like I'm trying to drown all of this because like you have to remember, so the lifestyle that we're living right is we're supposed to be the epitome of success. We're throwing these fantastic parties. We're in the mansions. We've got all the things. You're around rich and famous people. This is a blowing up business. Like this should be that moment of like, I'm there, right? And all the dreams that I wanted to dream and all of that. And I'm like, but this doesn't feel good. Like this is wrong. Like what we're doing is wrong. But my entire ecosystem and world around me is being like, what are you talking about? Like we're the pinnacle of success. Like this is amazing. And so like imagine that tension within your soul of being like, everyone's telling me that this is wrong. I feel crazy. And then imagine pile that with, again, that deceptive relationship I was in for 6 years and the mind manipulation.
Yeah.
So imagine how much torment is going on within like my internal world. And I'm like, I don't have emotional maturity. So I'm just trying to numb out because I don't know what to do. But that's not working anymore either. And so at this point, I'm like, it's either that I just need to die or like I need to figure out a way to feel better because I literally like, that's the tension that was in me at this point. and I didn't know any other way out.
Mm.
And so that sent me on this journey of being like, okay, drugs aren't working, alcohol's not working, I don't feel good. Like, what can I do?
Mm.
And so this is where I had this like super genius idea. And I was like, I know if I do like a big enough act of good, that will have to offset all the bad that I'm doing, right? Like that'll karma me out. That'll like, I don't know, like set like the yin and the yang in the universe or something stupid. So I was like, okay, what can I do that is such an extreme act of good that it's going to offset all this bad that I'm doing right now? And I went, I know if I go overseas and like volunteer and help refugees, that is so dramatic that has to be able to like karma me out, right? And so my train of thought, we were actually building a medicinal cannabis business as well. So we're building the OnlyFans agency and also this other business. And I was like, if I go overseas and help a bunch of refugees, by the time I come back, the cannabis company will be up and running. And then I've karmaed myself out and I don't have to work the OnlyFans agency anymore. Like, oh my gosh, I'm a genius. I'm so smart. How do I help refugees?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I went. I'm 25 at this point, and I had this super random memory that this church that I went to as a little kid, and we stopped going and I was maybe about like 8 years old. But I'd remembered that this church had a refugee program. So I was like, oh, sick. I'll Google the church and I'll sign up for this refugee program. So I Googled the church, I fill in this application for like refugee outreach. And then this is where it starts to get like really supernatural. So that outreach application actually never went to the outreach department. So I didn't know this. Maybe you guys do. But like churches have different departments. So like not all the emails just like go to one place. So there's like outreach, there's ministry, there's like events, like it's like a business, right? Like all the emails don't just go to the one place. So the outreach department never got this email with my application. But what actually happened is the young adults pastor got an email. And I know this because I saw it months later. And the email said, Victoria wants to reach out to the church. Here's her number, call her. And so I get a call from this young adults pastor. And she thinks that I'm like reaching out to come to the church. I think that it's like the vetting process for like refugees.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, hey, I heard you want to come down to church. Like, can I invite you to come this Thursday? And so I was like, okay, sure. Like maybe this is my interview. And like, I had no idea, dude. So I can like remember rocking up to this church on this Thursday. And like, I always say this because I can remember so clearly sitting in that parking lot at the front of this church and having voices screaming in my head going, you can't go in there. You're such a bad person. You're literally going to burst into flames if you walk into that church. They don't know what you've done. They don't know what you've had done to you. Like I've had even outside of all of this, we haven't even mentioned, I like survived a murder attempt. That's how I have that scar on my forehead. I've had other horrific things. Like my life has just been one series of like
missed
traumatic.
out on the murder attempt.
Bro, I know. Like we can get into that.
Yeah.
That was around the 21st birthday.
Oh my God.
I know. There's a lot of details that we've missed out on. But imagine I'm sitting there and I'm about to walk into this church and I'm like, I was just so filled with guilt and shame of like, I can't go in there. I'm just disgusting. I'm too far gone. But I had this voice, and I believe now in hindsight that this was the voice of God to the best that I could understand it. And I just heard, there's someone in there and they're waiting for you. Just go in. So I get all the courage that I have within me and I go into this church. And guys, I think you can kind of get my personality enough by now. But like, imagine this way more unhinged, going to it like a young adults pastor. I sell porn. Everyone tells me that it's good and it feels bad. I'm kind of a drug addict. I also like sell weed legally and like, I don't know what to do. A refugee is going to help make me feel better. And like for hours, I just word vomit to this beautiful young adults pastor. And she didn't do what I thought Christians would do, right? She didn't judge me. She didn't condemn me. She didn't say, you know, you're going to burn in hell and like all these different things. She was so beautiful. She just goes, I really think you should come to church this Sunday. We have a guest speaker who's speaking and I think you'll really resonate with them. So I was like, okay, sure. So I go to church on the Sunday. I actually dragged my mom and dad to come with me. And the guest speaker in church is talking about OnlyFans.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And is talking about this over-sexualized culture. And she's been in activism for 40 years now, fighting against this. And what she currently does now is she goes to schools all around Australia. And so she sees firsthand what is happening to the next generation. And she said this one very specific line. And she goes, Christians are supposed to be the salt and the light of the earth, and they have failed, and we are destroying the next generation. And that was the very specific moment where everything went from my head into my heart. And I went, oh my gosh, what we're doing is wrong. This is bad. Like, I'm not crazy. And so when she finished speaking, I literally, like, I'm in the balcony, like at the back, but I ran down to this stranger and I went up to her and I said, hi, my name's Victoria. I work for an OnlyFans agency and I hate myself. And again, didn't do what I thought Christians would do. She just looked at me and goes, would you like to have lunch with me? And this beautiful woman sat with me for hours and answered all my questions, ethical porn, positive, liberating, like all the lies that I was believing. And she just spoke the truth to me. And it was so impactful that was on a Sunday. By the Friday, I quit the OnlyFans agency. I walked away from a 13-year friendship. I walked away from the cannabis business. I ended up walking away from everything in my life. 8 weeks later, I'm sober and I'm baptized. And about 8 months after that, I was on my very first tour in America, speaking out against this. And for the past 2.5 years, I've now been traveling the world, sharing this story and educating people about OnlyFans and the reality of, what's going on, behind the scenes.
So good.
Wow, it's beautiful. I got goosebumps as you were saying.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well done.
And the turn into Christianity, like what's the relationship like with God, and how did that come out, and how did it develop?
Oh my gosh. Man, do you have like 26,000 hours? I think the simplicity of the essence is this, there's two scriptures in the Bible that I think are quintessential to my relationship with Jesus. And the first one is, are you guys familiar with the woman at the well?
No, the woman at the well.
Yeah.
Yes, I am actually.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So just for anyone, I guess, who's listening that doesn't understand, Jesus is at a well during the day. And this woman comes up, and that in itself is not normal, because back in those times, women would only go to the wells in the morning or in the nighttime because it's so hot. And so that means this woman is an outcast, and that means that she's actually not accepted in culture. That's why she's there by herself. And Jesus sends his disciples off into the town to go get food. But he waits at this well and asks this woman, would you draw water for me? And she goes, you're not supposed to speak to me. And that's because Jesus is a Jew and this woman is a Gentile. And so already Jesus is shattering all of these social norms of this woman's too far gone, this woman's this woman's that, but God himself is coming to this woman. And Jesus tells her everything that she's done in her life. And he starts telling her that, yeah, you don't have a husband. You actually have 5, and the man you're with now isn't your husband. And she has this radical encounter with God. And she's just like, I met a man who told me everything. And she runs into that town where she was so rejected from. And she ends up saving an entire town with her testimony. She's one of the first evangelists that we see in the Bible. And that radical encounter with Jesus and having this revelation of everything that I've ever done in my life. And God knew that. And he still came to me and loves me and accepts me no matter what anyone else in the world says. That was my experience. It was just, I left that Sunday and I don't know how to explain it, other than I walked out of that church. No one preached the gospel. I've never done the hand thing. Like no one, like nothing like that. But I just knew in my essence, I walked out and said, I don't know what this Jesus thing is, but I think I have to follow it with everything in my heart. And I've literally given up everything. Like I got rid of all my money. I emptied my bank account, all my friendships, every single essence of my life that you can think. I've laid down for Jesus, and I would do it 1,000 times over. Because there's nothing that compares in any way, shape, or form to having an intimate relationship with, God.
Was there like a calling from God to give up all that stuff? Like was there a voice that told you to do that?
Yeah, I think so. It talks about in scripture that, the law is written on our hearts, right? And so when you enter into a relationship with Jesus, an organic byproduct of that is the things that you once did, you don't want to do anymore, because you realize that how much that hurts you, right? So bit by bit, well, honestly, it was pretty quick, but I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Smoking, drinking, drugs, alcohol, sex, all the different things, swearing, like whatever it was, I was just like, I'm so enamored by Jesus. These things are keeping me from him. It's creating distance. And so I just knew that I had to just get rid of it all, to get closer to him.
Yeah, I see it as like a bit of like a self-respect thing. Like when you respect yourself to as little as not swear, it invites that the energy of God to, be wanting to come with you and be there with you, even though he obviously comes when you're not, but as in for him to stay. It's that self-respect, that the discipline as well, self-love.
I think that to take it even like a little bit deeper, what scripture talks about is it's not actually necessarily self-respect for us, but it's an enamored love for God. So in scripture, like even in Hebrews, it talks about that. Like this is like full theology spec now, but I think it's really interesting. Okay.
This is what I love.
Okay, sick. So like the old covenant, right, and the old law was kind of a little bit like that, right? Of, okay, I have to go at specific times and repent from things, and it's superficial to a degree, and I'm very simplifying this for people. And I'll atone for my sins, and then that will kind of bring this equilibrium, but it's not the deep heart transformation, right? So that's why when Jesus comes and he sheds his blood, and that's what covers our sins, what that does is it actually transforms our essence and our heart. So we go from doing all these things, kind of feeling bad about it, kind of not, whatever, however we feel about it. And then when you have that deep revelation of God and this new grace and this new covenant that we're in with him, you sit there and you go, oh my gosh, I'm so loved. It's got nothing to do with self-love, but God the Father, my creator, loves me so much that he broke off his essence to come and brutally die for me in the worst version of myself so I could be redeemed from all of this and enter into an eternal union with him. Oh my gosh, it's like, you know, when you're so in love with someone and you just want to do everything for them because you love, like, that's what it is. But we can only understand how to love God because he first loved us. Our metric of love is so skewed that you have to understand the metric of love that God has for you to even be able to understand how to receive it and then like give it back to him. Sorry, dude, I love this stuff so much. And like Hebrews, I think for anyone listening, like Hebrews is such a beautiful depiction of that. It really helps people to understand for anyone who's interested in that, the difference between what is the Old Testament, what is the Old Covenant, why did we have that, what is the new one, what does this mean? Specifically Hebrews like 8, 9 and 10 will really help people to understand that and hopefully unlock and get them to understand like how like ridiculously loved they are by God. And a byproduct is you just want to give all that stuff up.
So why the money? Where does that play a part? Why did you get rid of all your money?
That's like a little bit of an interesting one, I guess. But so quit OnlyFans agency and as I said, end up walking away from everything. I get a job at a cafe again for a little bit. And like, guys, it was so humbling. Imagine like partying in mansions, now cleaning toilets and making coffees. Like I needed that. So I worked there, but then after a period of time, I was like, I think I just need like a big kid job again. I need to be back in like the adult world. So I get another job in startups and marketing, and doing all of that. But in this period of time, about 6 months, I'm volunteering. So I'm actually going into schools with that lady from the church that day, Melinda. And as well, I've never been on social media. I've never like done anything like that. But again, that's why I love the woman at the well. Guys, anyone who would listen to me, I would be telling them that I just found Jesus. OnlyFans isn't what you think it is. Like, and so no matter who it was at the coffee shop, like I didn't care. I was telling everyone. But it was so like within my essence that I'm like, I need to tell more people. Where do I go? And so I'm just on TikTok yapping about Jesus and OnlyFans. And with like no real intention. I just had to get it out. And I end up volunteering at this school and I put these videos on TikTok. I don't think anything about it. And these videos go viral and I freak out because I've never had a desire. My manifestation of insecurities was again, business and money. It's never been, you know how people like want to be seen and want fame. I just never had that. So now I'm going viral and people are messaging me. They want to do interviews with me. They want me on their podcast and I just freak out. And so I go into a fast for 3 days. And within that fast, and we would need more time. The crazy Jesus prelude to this is insane. But about a week before going into this fast, an American, one of the biggest anti-sex trafficking organizations in the States had come to Australia to do a screening of one of their films. I got invited to the film premiere and I'm talking with some of the people that are at the org. And it was the most loose invitation. They're like, hey, if you're ever in America, we would love to have you on our podcast. So pin it, right? And I was like, sure, cool. Week later, videos go viral. I'm in this fast and God goes, I want you to quit your new job that you've just started. I want you to empty your bank account to $0, and I want you to say yes to that invitation to go to America. So I come out of the fast 5 days later, quit my job, empty my bank account. I hit up Exodus Cry. Hey, I'm going to be in America in July. I just made it up. Do you want to do a pod? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And that organically turned into my first tour. And God just supernaturally provided for it. And yeah, that's what I've been.
Wow.
So yeah, I think it's because it's dirty money, and money's very spiritual. And I just don't think that God,
So now you've got a better relationship with money, obviously, or you just...
Dude,
Yeah.
the financial miracles that I see, if I told you how much money I just went to Europe with and that lasted, you'd go, wait, what? Like, I think that when you come into a relationship with God, it shatters all of your lens on what you need to rely on. And like, I've gone to America with like $200 in my bank account. I'm like, okay, like, let's just do it. And he just provides.
You always have enough. Always. More than enough. Yeah, I say that all the time, no matter how big or small my bank account is. I've never not been able to do anything. Like, I always have
everything.
Enough. Everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like it's so like, whatever you need, it's always there. It's always provided. Like you don't need to think about it. Like,
totally.
Yeah. It's like there's never a problem.
Yeah. I love, one of my favorite sayings that I heard is like, God's will, God's bill. And so I'm like, God, if you're calling me to this, if this is so insane, I'm like, bro, you like, I shouldn't bro him. Like you got to provide, and he always does. And it might not be financial, but I've had people. I remember I was stuck in Nashville, and I needed accommodation the next night. I met a girl the day before, and she's like, yeah, I leave to go to Florida tomorrow. You can have my house. And this woman just gave me her house for like 5 days. Like provision is so. It's not always money, Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it comes through other humans. Question.
Yeah.
So you say like, I shouldn't bro God. Yeah, but what that sparked is, how do you view God? Like, what do you think God is, or who do you think God is? Is it like a higher being? Is it something or someone in a different dimension? Is it a different form of a human? Like, how do you see it from everything that you know and what you practice?
Well, scripture's very clear on who God is. God is the creator of the universe. He's the creator of everything. And God is a triune God. So that means he's three. He's Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And so they work in conjunction. And it's a hard thing to like grasp, I guess. But they all work together in this perfect harmony of the Father is the one who he created everything. He is everything. Everything comes from God. He speaks and things are created. He is the almighty, all-powerful God in a way that I don't think we'll comprehend this side of earth. He created us, animals, trees, light, darkness. He is in control of everything. And we like to think we're in control and we're not. Then you have Jesus, the Son. If you want to understand who the Father is, if you want to understand the characteristics of the Father, you look at Jesus. You look at the way he interacted with people. You look at his compassion, his love, his zeal, his protectiveness. The Father and the Son are the same. But Jesus, he is God and man. And it's really,
all
I know,
God
like,
and all man.
it's so bizarre, but it's just how it is. But then the Holy Spirit is what empowers us to understand who that is. Holy Spirit gives us the revelations, and Holy Spirit is the supernatural essence. So it's like the Father speaks a word, Jesus actions it, but it's through the empowering of the Spirit of God that's able to happen. And so God is all in one, but he's three, and he's everywhere. He is within us. It talks about that in scripture, that humans are empty vessels, and you're going to be filled by something. You're going to be filled by the demonic, or you're going to be filled by God. It's actually that simple. And so when you are born again, that's why baptism is so significant. It is death to self and the rebirth of the new. And that's how you have the Spirit of God that fills you, and he's within you, and he operates within you, but he's everywhere. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank
you. Cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah. Do you agree? Or like, what's your lens?
I don't agree or disagree. I just think I don't really have a lens. I love just like it's an open perspective because it's so unknown. And even though I think that even though the Bible and the scripture describes it and makes it so clear, it's only as clear as your perspective allows you to view it. And I could be wrong on that, but I just think that like everyone has a different way of explaining God. So I don't know where I sit with it.
Yeah.
I've personally had experiences with the Holy Spirit. I believe in Jesus. I believe in God, obviously. I think everyone believes in God though. But I don't know exactly how to pinpoint it.
Yeah.
And I love hearing everyone's perspective because
Yeah.
everyone's perspective is so different.
Yeah.
Even like another Christian will say it in like, you know, a slightly different way. Some Christians will say it in a completely different way, you know? So, yeah, what do you think of that?
I think that I think that's the beauty. I remember hearing one of like my heroes in the faith. His name's Owen McManus, and I think he's so beautiful and just creative and wonderful. But he says that the reason that we know that our God is real compared to other gods is because of the fact that we have different denominations, and it's because our relationship. You know how you said that different Christians will have a different element. Well, think about like I'm going to jump around, but this is going to make sense. I promise. Like. Each and every human on the planet is a representation of God. God creates everyone, right?
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about how complex and multidimensional the characteristic of God must be that if billions of humans represent a part of his essence. Like that's incomprehensible, but that's how dynamic our God is, right? That every single human represents a piece of him.
But
then,
so do the birds and the trees.
Not God. We are the only things made in the image of God.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So Genesis is very clear that God made everything good, but he made us in his likeness and we are very good. And so that's the distinction between creation and humans. We're the only things that are literally a reflection of who God is. That's why we're so valuable. But so within that, I was going to say like the denominations thing, you'll have people, so just say like my brother, it does not enjoy the wild church that I go to, right? But that's because that's his essence. He likes going to a church where, you know, a little bit more in scripture. They're not doing, you know, the crazy worship and all the other wild things that happen. But that's his organic and like truest essence of worship to God. And there's other people that will combine with that, right? So they'll have a view of God. As long as it's based in biblical truth, it's truth. And so then again, maybe charismatics, Pentecostals, whatever, our view and lens and expression of God will perhaps be different. But as long as it's based in truth. So everything that is said about God, if it's biblically accurate, when people start saying, well, I think this, I think that, that's when it goes to self. And self was the first deception in the Bible, right? It's pride. So when I start to think, that's when I'm going away from the actual truth, because there can only be one truth. Not everyone can have their truth and all be true. So I think that that's the only distinction I would make, is that when listening to believers, there's going to be so many colors and expressions of God, but can we always bring it back to the truth? Or is it just that person's opinion? Because I don't believe that aligns with then truth.
Yeah, but sometimes all those different colors can extend to even other religions. They're just different ways of them explaining their relationship with the creator, because there's only one creator at the end of the day.
So do you think that as in like other religions are the lane to the one God?
No, as in
I just struggle to think that like everyone with a different religion is wrong. That's the thing.
Do you want to hear?
And I understand the truth and I get it all.
Yeah.
But I just think that humans are always just trying to describe. I'll give you an example. When you said that you had your experience with Jesus and you went and you worked in the cafe, the one thing you were doing was you couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
You just wanted to tell everyone about your experience, because the experience of connecting with God is the most beautiful. It's the one thing that the human is constantly desiring. The thing that takes you from here to there, that thing that was the craving was just God. Yeah. And the way I view it is, there's tools to connect to God. And I think God doesn't care which tools you use. He just wants you to connect. And as you said, it's the love of God is the only way we can actually know what love is.
Yeah.
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 So it's this thing of like just love and God and I don't know.
You're making sense.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, I totally get what you mean.
The excitement is you wanting to explain your experience with God, and that's every single other human. When they have the experience with God, they want to explain it. And how do we explain things? Through words, through adjectives. So we're all just describing our connection with God. So we have to use words. So there's a feeling, there's an energetic thing happening, but we need to use words to describe it. So the easiest way to communicate
the thing that's happened energetically is to use words that other people understand, which is Jesus. Like, does that make sense? Not just Jesus, like love, Jesus. I can't describe it in the right way, but do you understand
what you're saying? Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I think that, again, if you have a look at what the Bible says, Jesus says, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through the Son. And then he gives the beautiful imagery that he does, that I'm the good shepherd. And there's only one way into the gate. And people that try to come in from the other way, so they will be rejected because there's only one way. And so I think that the hard reality for people to comprehend, and what's beautiful is that doesn't mean, don't hear what I'm not saying, having a deep compassion for other people, to be like, well, wait a minute, what, because they were born Muslim, because that means they're damn, like, that's not fair. That's a beautiful heart to have. And I think that a lot of people should have that compassion and care for other people, right? Because it's like, well, what happens to them? And so that's where it's like, Scripture is very clear that there is only one way. And it is very clear that it is only through Jesus. And two things that my brain kind of goes to, I remember hearing this analogy and I thought it was such a good way to put it. And it was, imagine you're at an airport and you're trying to fly back home and you go to the flight desk and you're like, hey, where's my gate? And the flight desk person goes, oh, any gate leads you home. You're like, okay, sick. So you go to gate 52 and it takes you further away from home. You go in the total opposite direction. And then you land at the airport and you're like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be home and I'm even further away. And then you go to the airport desk again, same thing. And you keep getting further and further. And you say, why can't someone just tell me my gate? I just want to get home. Why can't someone just give me the truth of, hey, it's 53. Just go to this gate and you're going to get home. Because everything's taking me further and further away. So it's actually more unkind to have this narrative that any form of expression gets you to God, any form of expression gets you to worship, because it's not the truth. The truth is those things are going to take you away.
Yeah, but there is only one expression.
Yeah, it's through
love.
Jesus.
It's love. Jesus is love. Jesus represents love. What did Jesus represent? He went to the girl in the well, and no matter what her situation was, he loved her. He showed her love.
He was going to the Gentile.
And that was the transfer, was it not?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's the way I view it. But I'm not saying that Jesus is not the way.
Yeah.
My tool is Jesus. I don't want to say it as a tool.
I get what you mean.
It's more than a tool, but that's our connection to God, you know?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
But yeah, it's all like this massive whirlwind of energy.
Jonathan said it in the Bryce podcast, and I really serenaded, was the Jesus that I know wouldn't reject someone just because they weren't of a faith of mine. It is the Jesus that I connect with is all loving and all forgiving, and I'm Christian and I believe in Jesus, but I do see a value in that too, because the Jesus that I know is all loving and all forgiving. And
what did Bryce say?
He just said, no, you through Jesus is the only way. He's quoting scripture.
I don't want to make it an argument, because it's not an argument, because I kind of see eye to eye, but I love to just
I feel like
unpick
I
it
think
and
it's
see
a conversation.
It'll be a great conversation to have Jamie and Vic in a podcast.
Wait, Jamie Zoo?
They'll end up fighting. No.
I was going to be like, bro, I love him. He's such a good friend. I'm like, yes,
Jamie.
let's do it.
A different Jamie. He'd just been a very interesting conversation. It'd be a good conversation. He's just got a different perspective. He's Christian. He believes in God, and he will just have a different skew on the way he's like everyone is different. Like the way you view the religion and the way I view religion, and we could both read the Bible together at the same time, and what you take from something or what I take from something is different. So everyone has their own perception. Like a quick example, and I think we spoke about it backstage with Bryce. Was Bryce was saying no, Jesus is going to return on a sword, with a sword in his mouth. And I'm like, no, the way I view that is Jesus is returning through Christ consciousness through all of us. He's here now, and the return of Jesus is you leaving the OnlyFans and Jesus Christ consciousness coming to you. That's how I view Jesus coming back. Whereas someone else views it as, no, he's coming back on a horse with a sword in his mouth, as it says in the Bible. But everyone has their own different perception on how they take it. So everyone's reading the same book, but no one is reading it the same way. There's how many billions of us that read the Bible, but no one is reading it the same. So what is the truth?
Well, I think that that's such a deeper question, but it's like what, like that lens of like that Christ consciousness, to my understanding, that's nowhere in scripture. So then I would say that's not biblically accurate.
I
That's
guess.
your opinion.
Yeah.
And so remember how I said before
But
that this is the real, this is the deceptive part, right? And this is where, like when we talk about faith, this is where it's such a tension, right? But when we look at the context of the culture in what Christianity was birthed in, there's a reason why people died for their faith. And it's because it was so offensive. When you can really understand the Jewish context and how the ways that the Pharisees were so offended by what Jesus was saying, right? To the point where they were ready to die for it, like ready to murder, I should say, so sorry for it. And so this is the thing that's the uncomfortable truth, I think, in our faith, is that it is going to rub people the wrong way. It is going to offend people. And it is going to be an unpopular opinion. Like I love diving into the context. So just say if you read like Paul's letters to the church, when you actually, we can read them and put our lens on it in our day and age, right? And like sexual immorality and this and that. But when you read the audience that he's actually writing these things to, and they're Greeks that are so in this pagan culture and all the different things and what Paul is saying to them, bro, there's a reason why he gets put in prison. There's a reason why people try to kill him, because it is so controversial. And so I think that this is where it's the uncomfortable part of faith that people don't want to talk about. You have to stand on the truth. And the truth is going to rub some people the wrong way, but that's okay, because there's a difference between being nice and being kind. And kindness is saying the truth to someone in love, not in judgment. Again, I don't vibe that condemnation crap. I don't think there's a point in that, right? Like, what's that going to do if I sit here and try to tell you why you're wrong? Like, it's just mean. But in having a conversation where you're like, hey, we got to bring it back to not my truth, not what I think, not my lens, because that again is rooted in pride, which is the original sin. That's how the devil deceived us, of going, do you really think that God said that? So when we're reading the Bible, or if we're not reading the Bible and we're taking clips and we're taking our opinion and these little things, I don't really know if God said that. I don't know if God said that he's the only way. I don't know if I think that God would do that. Where do you think that thought's coming from? Do you think that's coming from God? Do you think that's coming from self? Or do you think that's coming from some darkness that's trying to steal you away from the truth? So I think we have to be so careful with our thoughts, because the Bible actually talks about when the enemy comes. This is really like fantastic in Hezekiah. So in 2 Kings, I believe this is, it'll talk about the ways in which Satan communicates with us, or the enemy. And so Hezekiah is one of the kings that's actually seen as like the most like noble, righteous king in kind of this Jewish era. And the king of Assyria is coming to take over, and he's like decimated all his enemies, right? And so he's coming and he's getting people to come talk trash to Hezekiah and all the Israelites to scare them. And so he talks about how king of Assyria is coming, guys, like basically like you're screwed, come follow us. And what it talks about in scripture is it says that Hezekiah's like men said to the Assyrians, don't talk in Hebrew, talk in Aramaic. We understand your language. Why are you talking in Hebrew to try and scare all the rest of like the people? So the first way that the enemy comes is in a language that's familiar to you. So it's going to sound like your thoughts, right? And they're going to sound so good. They're going to sound so legit. Bro, that happens to me all the time. I'm like, yeah. And then you have to go, wait a minute. That's a familiar thought. Is that again rooted in truth? Because then what happens after that is Hezekiah says to the people, when the Assyrians come and they're talking trash and they're talking in a language that's familiar to you, it says they didn't respond, they stayed silent. So the first thing, when we get a thought that comes in and we think that it's so good, we think that it's ours, we partner with it, you're going to go, wait a minute, hold on. I'm not going to entertain that for a second. I'm going to wait. So I'm going to stay silent and I'm not going to come into agreement with that. And then what happens in the rest of it is that's when the enemy doubles down. So then the Assyrians come and they actually write a letter, and this letter is super threatening. Hezekiah is now genuinely worried. He's like, what do I do? Like, there's a legitimate threat. So we can have legitimate concerns and questions. You are allowed to question truth to the nth degree. So you're going, well, I don't believe in a God that would, not love and accept people because they're in the wrong religion. That's the thought. That's a legitimate question. You would then do what Hezekiah does. Hezekiah takes that piece of paper to the temple and he lays it before God and asks God, what do I do with it? So I think that that's a beautiful framework for when we're figuring out our faith as Christians with nuances. I have a thought. I'm going to give it a second. I'm not going to entertain it. And then I'm actually going to take it to the truth and see what the truth says. Because a lot of times deception sounds like self. And then that's where we fall into that. So I just think it's a beautiful framework.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I love how deep we got into theology.
We're out of
Thank
time,
you so
but I reckon
much.
we got
cool,
to
yeah.
jump on again, man.
It's been
'cause we're
amazing to
gonna-
talk to you. Your story's been just incredible to hear. And
Yeah.
God bless.
God bless. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
May
your
God bless
time.
you and
This
God
is
bless
fun.
everyone
Yeah,
listening.
so good.
Lots of love.
If you're still listening, we're giving away 5 free bottles of C60 to the first 5 people who comment reflection on any of our pinned posts. God bless. Thank you.